Right, first of all, ball goes out here. So for me, we can probably even steal a couple of meters here. That is going to be an attack and kick in. And we've got Sully on the pitch. That is going to be an attacking kick in one early in the game, get some shots on goal, put them under pressure. So this is what it could look like. And this is what it did look like. So first of all, look where we take the kick from. We've just lost all this distance. So we've taken what could be an attacking kick in, and as I said, steal some yards, take it from here. You'll get away with it. We lose all these yards. And then second thing, this gives us absolutely no value whatsoever. These two players on the same line. There's absolutely no need for this. There's no value in that. That doesn't give us anything. Ridiculous. And then this is what happens at the subsequent centre kick. We give the ball away to them straight away. We've allowed what's just happened to affect us psychologically, because we wouldn't have done that centre kick just 1 minute earlier. So this is an example where the four outfielders are perfectly capable of playing out. So first of all, Simone, this line again gives us nothing. You need to be back in goal. Here, this is really interesting. So SFK really bad here. They're just flatlining themselves here, line of three. Think of the orientation of the game now as playing that way. And this is a classic situation of the team out of possession being caught in a straight line. It's effectively a ball into the pivot. But we can do that because SFK have just flattened themselves off here, and the orientation of play now is this way. But this is a perfectly good example of the four outfielders being able to play out in quite creative ways. So totally happy with that. Let the outfielders do it. Right, now this bit, this is really interesting as well. So Harry Munmi in the first team does exactly the same thing here. Really good 1v1. You've taken your player out. You've created the overload. So this here is not a shooting opportunity. We've got a huge overload. We've got a 3v1. We've got a huge overload here to exploit. Also here at the end of the clip, when you take yourself off the court to the bottom right, that is the 4v3 counter-attack opportunity that we were working on exploiting last week. So we've spoken our Zoom calls about being more efficient on that finishing action. And if we're not, and SFK catch that ball, if their keeper catches that ball, they can launch that 4v3 counter-attack if they knew what they were doing. And better teams will pull us apart on that. Right, this clip is really crucial. So this is in the first game, probably 3 minutes in, and there are a couple of recurrent themes that I want to pick up on that we were doing in the afternoon. So we need to stop jumping when we're defending. I'll explain that in a second. Also, we're losing track of our references, and we're not being aware of the passing lines that are in behind us. So this is a great clip for that. Right at the start of the clip, so we've spoken about this, we're a mixed defence. The ball is here. This is the strong side of the court. This is the weak side. So we shouldn't have any players in this weak side. So Harry, you can come into the middle. Even if there was a player here, you don't need to be out this, and especially with this setup. Sully, this is your reference here. Gabriel, your reference is here. Isaac, your reference is here. Harry, your reference is here. but you wouldn't go and stand on his toes here. So here, for me, I think he can come in here. That's fine, because that ball, if it goes backwards, that's not a problem to us. So Harry, if you're here, your reference is here, but you're not leaving this guy in with a 1v1 on Isaac. So when Isaac, if this guy gets the ball and Isaac applies pressure to him, you're also there as cover for if he does get past Isaac. So it's best of all worlds for us. But here, that's not a defensive position. Right, so here, because of that, Gabriel, his reference was here. Gabriel's reference is here. He passes the ball across. So Gabriel switches reference. So this new player, when he has the ball, Gabriel then goes to him. That's called jumping, okay? Jumping can be really effective if we all know what we're doing, but we don't. We're not that sophisticated to incorporate jumping into our defense. If we're jumping, it means that somebody's not doing their job. And Harry, if you'd have been here originally, you can then apply pressure and be cutting off the passing line from 10 into this player. Okay, so here now, we've got two players over here. There's a 3v2 here. So we're not taking individual responsibility here for our references. Okay, at this point, that's fine. Isaac can take this guy. Harry, this is your guy. Gabriel, this is your guy. This is your guy, Sully. But because, in effect, we're doubled up on him, that leaves this player free. So Gabriel jumps again, goes across. Hopefully now, we all know our references. Hopefully now, we all know our references. This is a good example by Isaac, because if you look, Isaac can see the ball, his body position with his shoulders is open. So he can also see his reference here. And if you look, Isaac has actually dropped off from this line, which allows his vision in this field here. If he was level, he wouldn't have that. So Gabriel does the right thing here, and he follows his man. But Gabriel follows his reference, but Sully, you leave at this point. Gabriel follows his reference, which is here. Sully, this is your reference, this man on the ball. But for some reason, Sully, you switch references and decide to follow this man, which is Gabriel's. And as you can see, Gabriel's pointing. So now there's a huge distance between you and your reference. As the fix there, I think Isaac does the right thing. So Isaac actually leaves his reference to go back. Isaac's original reference is here, and he leaves him to go back. That then means that Isaac is available for when these two here do that swap, because Gabriel can pick him up. When this fella here cuts, Isaac's there to pick him up. But again, here, we're all over the place in terms of who is our reference. And this ball is about to kill us here. So Sully, at this point in time, this is your reference, but your body position is wrong, okay? You need to rotate and be here. So your field of vision, you can see the ball and you can see your reference. And because you're too high, the passing line is about to be left open here, in behind you. So you need to be a little bit further back, and your body orientation you need to rotate 90 degrees clockwise. Luckily, 7 can't finish. Yeah, this is interesting. Again, SFK, load of rubbish. Once more, pretty much stuck in a straight line. Orientation of players this way. I really don't know what 6 is doing here. So that line is wide open from the fix, Isaac, into the pivot, Gabriel. What I like here is, don't forget, ball goes into the pivot. One player attack the ball, which is sort of near this kind of space. So one person attack the ball, this area. One person attack the space. So there's a lot of space to exploit here. So then Gabriel has the option of a short pass and a long pass. So Harry, very important when that ball goes into the pivot that you, if Isaac's attacking the ball, you attack the space. It's what we did really effectively against Leicester. This is a really good case study. So this is the second game. This is SFK when they played the first team. So it kicks off and the first team score, I think, within about 9 seconds. Right, so I want to take a look at SFK's defending, because this is a great example of how not to defend. So what is the role of our friend number 7 here? So he's obviously not going to press Doug. He's probably been told to stay half court. So ball goes over to the side to Fraser, which he then chases, which takes him out. So he's stuck at the side. Ball goes back to Doug. This player and this player then close Doug, while simultaneously leaving the middle open. Fraser's run. And then that ball can get popped out to the side. Now, because 6 came in, 6 dives in here, which leaves Victor, who is a professional footballer looking for a contract, with all this space. This guy here sums it up, you know, what is happening. So all his mates, they did this a lot. Again, they've stuck themselves in a straight line vertically here. This guy, there's a 2v1 going on here. So let's see, will Victor exploit that? Oh yes, there we go. So the ball is already in behind their last defender. So Dan has got all this space to work with. And then Fraser, Lady Killer, can exploit that space for the goal. So this is just an example of, it's not even defending, it's just chasing the ball and having no discipline or responsibility for any particular reference. There's just no organization at all. So great example of how not to defend. SFK goal 2 conceded. So what are the individual responsibilities? Okay, 10, you have to assume as a kicker, 4 and Fraser. This is ridiculous here. If he's on him, that means that he is on him. So this player here is actually putting himself into a block from Victor. So any pass that goes out here, Victor's blocking him off because of that player's positioning. I think he thinks he's cutting off the passing line to Victor, but we don't need to pass into Victor. The pass can come out here. Oh, it's our mate number 7. Yeah, okay. So let's see what happens. Right, okay, so this fella decides he's just going to chase the ball. That's an example of jumping, by the way, but he's not doing it for tactical reasons. Trust me on that one. Ball goes across. This is his reference. Ball changes to this player, and then he changes his reference here. But both of these two go here. So that's going to leave them short elsewhere. Oh, look. Okay, so at this point, geez, this player is the wrong side. Needs to be here. Think about quadrants. It's goal side and it's ball side. This player needs to have better pressure on the ball. This player is responsible for Victor. He's not going to make that when that ball comes in. There's their last defensive line. So the question is it possible to get the ball here? Well, yeah, it is. And then exploit all this space in behind the defense. And this fella should be cutting off that line. So he needs to be here. I want to look at this example because here all 4 SFK players are caught in a straight line, which is obviously really easy to bypass. So let's think individual references again. Here, 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 and here. That's what they should be doing. So here, Fraser's going to cut through. So this player has to follow his reference. He's cutting in front of him, and also there's no pressure on the ball. He has to follow his reference there. He doesn't, he leaves him. So it's our mate 7. 2 of them are doubling up on Doug. So that's going to leave them short elsewhere. No one's got Fraser now. So at this point, they're absolutely screwed defensively. Ball is here. So one pass bypasses the whole defense. There we go. And at that point, 7, he leaves Doug as well. So 7 just can't be bothered to track his references back. So this player tries to, but again, think of quadrants. This player needs to be here. But to be fair to him, his teammate screwed him over, so he's never going to get here on time. So that was that example. There's plenty more in the game. So here's one where 3 of them are in a line, and that the white arrow is the pass that gets through to Victor, who's playing in more of a pivot role at that point. Yeah, they're in a box here. When the ball is here, they need to be in a diamond. If they're going to defend zonally here, which you would do in your own half, they need to be in a diamond. So doing that is ridiculous. And the last line here, well, this one ball bypasses them all. There you go. This is another odd one. 8 should be on this line here, and the fix through to the pivot. And he actually decides to move off that line even more to open it up. So really don't get what's going on there. But these are all things to look out for and to exploit. I think it's useful to see that, to make sure that we can learn lessons from it. This is killing us. The fact that we don't understand the strong and weak side. We have to have individual references, but we don't have to stand on their toes. So watch. So here, this is fine. Everyone's got their individual reference. Gabrielle, you need to drop a little bit and rotate your body so that you can see the ball and see your reference. You need to rotate 90 degrees anti-clockwise and be here. Harry, you've got a habit of being too high. This is your reference, but you're level with him. So he's going to do you. If that ball comes down here, he's going to beat you. Here, as you'll see, this kills us, this flat line. Mo's already gone. Mo had an ACL operation and he's not as young as he was, but he's a smart player. So there, you've lost your reference. Gabrielle, that's fine. This is your reference. Saeed, fine, that's your reference. Harry, Mo is your reference. But you need to come in to the middle of the court here. This is a strong side. This is the weak side because the ball is here. So we don't need anybody on this side of the court. So Harry, you need to be here. The player in this position, if you're here, Harry, it's not an issue. Saeed can worry about that ball going across. And if the ball does go across, that's fine. If you're positioned here, you can see your reference, you can see the ball. And if that ball does end up here, you can travel and apply pressure. So losing your reference there kills us. Ball goes into the pivot, Mo attacks the space. Luckily, Saeed recovers back and picks up your reference. But they score from the resulting corner. So we need to understand strong and weak side and how to defend. This all comes down to individual defending. This is not a system, this is individual defending at this point. The second goal we conceded against the first team, that was a problem in individual references again. Kale and Sam were both fixed on Mo. No one thought to pick up Joel. Fraser cuts across Gabrielle, but that's fine. Gabrielle is responsible for this reference here, and he knows that. That's fine. Gabrielle's pointing. He's going to pass Fraser on. So if you look, that's fine. So Harry picks him up. So we're happy with that. But it's what's going on over here that we need to look at. So Kale is staying with Mo. That's his reference. That's fine. And Sam is with Joel. If Sam wants to front screen Joel, that's absolutely fine. But could probably be here to make sure that ball isn't on. But this bit here now, Kale is responsible for Mo. Harry is going to go out here to pick up Fraser, which is fine. Sam is on Joel. But watch. Here, Mo goes this way and Joel comes this way. So we can do one of two things. Either both players follow, or both players, Kale and Sam, swap. And for me, this is a really obvious candidate for swapping. So here, Kale is responsible for Joel, and Sam, you now become responsible for Mo. So let's watch what happens. So Kale tries to follow Mo, and Sam switches reference away from Joel, presumably because he's seen Mo as well. But either way, Joel is left, and that's a soft goal to concede. Third goal conceded. Individual references again. Kale is on Mo. This is Harry's reference. Gabrielle's got Joel. So Sully, this is about to give us a problem. Here, too high. The ball is here. That ball is on behind you now. And once more, it all comes down to individual references. You need to be here so that you can see the ball and you can see your reference. This is your field of vision. But going here, that is way too high. You can't be level with him. So that ball opens us up. That then compromises Gabrielle here. So here, Gabrielle cut the passing line off to Joel and be responsible for anything in this second post area, and leave the near post and the 1v1 with the player to Simone. Simone is responsible for his near post. Sully makes a decent job here of recovering, but once you've recovered back and you've cut off that line from the ball to the goal, you need to start applying pressure on Joel. Possibly handball, but we won't worry about that. But the thing to watch out for here, individual references. So Kale, you're responsible for Mo, but you leave your reference. You don't track him. And we've spoken in the last few weeks about the second action. So the second action being what happens after that initial shot at goal. So for the second action after that shot at goal, it takes a deflection off Sully. It folds kindly over here to Mo. So Kale, you've not tracked your runner now. He's free. And that second action is that Mo can finish. So again, I don't think this comes down to any sort of defensive system. This comes down to individual defending. And if we can improve on that, that will help us immensely. This bit we need to watch here. This is Dan from the first team. Dan has never played a set piece this well in his life. Dan actually wants you to follow him, Kale. He wants you to follow him. So watch. Because you follow, Mo does his swap and he's available here. So the first team have never played a set play this well in years. So there, that's a very nicely worked goal. But let's watch it from the start. That follow kills us. So specifics, what can we change? Here, when Dan goes and Mo comes across, Kale and Sam, stay exactly where you are. Just swap your references, that's absolutely fine. Because at this point then, Kale, you'll be here. Sam, you'll still be here. The ball, if it went out to Mo here, Kale, you'd be next to him, so you can apply pressure to him. When that ball goes there, That's fine. Saeed's going across, so that's his reference, that's fine. And Kale, if you were there, you could be getting ready to apply pressure to Mo here. They've got all this space to work now. And a very nice run from Fraser. Just so you know, this is a classic vertical wall pass. Very nice. And there's a final point here. There's a final clue if you know your opponents. Mo and Dan are actually set up on the opposite side. So Dan is a left footer and Mo is a right footer. So if you look at how they're set up, it's very likely that they're going to swap sides to set themselves up. Mo with a potential right-footed shot and Dan with a potential left-footed shot. So that's a clue in how the opposition are setting up as well. I've said a few things in jest in here about the first team. This shows the benefit of experience. So between them, Doug, Dan and Mo have got hundreds upon hundreds of matches of experience. And Fraser, who I believe they now call Lady Killer in the first team, he's a wily player. So yeah, nice movement and nice finish from Fraser after the vertical wall pass. So we can learn a lot from that. Here, we're in a flat line. We can't have that. One pass can potentially bypass three of our players. We've spoken before about strong side and weak side. If the ball is here, this is a strong side of the court. This is the weak side of the court. Everybody has to have a reference. So yeah, Gurpreet, this is your reference. However, because the ball is here, this is the strong side of the court. You can tuck in here and Gabriel can position himself to cut off that line across. What we're doing then is helping to minimize the space between ourselves and how we defend. When you defend, you end up being compact. It's like a mid-court block. Now, this is another example of what I said I wanted to pick out. So everybody needs to be aware of their reference. So Gabriel's reference is here. Gurpreet, your reference is here. Saeed and Joel here. This is good because you're ball side of Joel, and that's probably the correct thing to do. You don't want Joel receiving into feet. And here, Harry, you're responsible for Ethan. However, you're level with him here. And also, the ball is now here. This is the strong side. So Harry, you need to tuck in. You need to tuck in to help close the middle off. And Gabriel can worry about that ball across. So Harry, you're here. By being here, you can see the ball and you can see your reference. So that passing line in behind you now, Harry, is open. Again, stay with your reference. Your job is to stop this ball going across. Saeed, because Harry's lost his reference here, so cut off the passing line, Saeed, and leave Simone to worry about anything that comes in on the near post. If they score near post on Simone, that's a conversation with Simone. But your job here is to cut off that passing line to Joel. You can see Gabriel here is organising the kick in, which is good. So he's sending Sully, the left footer, to be here. Now Saeed is taking the kick. Sully is the left footer. This is kicking one. He wants to strike it with his left foot. So that ball has to be delivered on this side of him. So that pass is to the wrong foot. And now we're defending the counter-attack. So another example. Here, Isaac is organising. We've got Gurpreet on, who's a left footer. Alternatively, Sam can strike with his left foot as well, so be aware of that. And again, that ball needs to be played this side for the correct foot, Gurpreet. Now, okay, so Saeed, I think, well, Saeed's calling kick in two here, but even if we are going to do kick in two, that ball still needs to be played to Gurpreet's safe side. We can't be playing here. That's not to his safe side. The defender can close that too easily. The ball has to be played to his safe side, whether it's for kicking one or for kicking two. These are some examples of what it should look like. Again, preparation is key. Isaac's asking him for 5 meters. Sully starts the move. And in terms of the taker just rolls the ball into the path of the shooter to strike. Kale's asked for a Zoom meeting to go through his footage, which is really good, really self-motivated. And Kale's going to pull out a few of his own points, but these are just a few that I've picked up on. So this is good. You'll hear me talk about laterality, the ability to play off both left and right feet. And it's not just in possession. So here, when Kale goes in for the tackle, his dominant foot is his right, but if you look here, his laterality is good, and that he can tackle with his left as well. So that's good. Tactical foul coming up here. And a bit of a tantrum going on here from their number 6. 2 bits to talk about. So first of all, it nearly came off that, but obviously losing the ball in your own defensive third is something we really need to avoid. But to be fair to Kale, he makes up for it with that tactical foul. Make sure his opponent doesn't score. That's good. Another good example here of laterality, good laterality. So this time in possession, this is Kale playing off both feet. Receiving on his right there, playing with his left. Yeah, good. And here we lose possession. Kale's role here is not to go steaming in. It's to delay the attack, which I think he does well, which gives his teammates time to get back. A few things to pick up on, the even better ifs. We've already mentioned one of them. So there's 2 occasions where the ball's been lost and our own defensive third. So here, rather than playing back across goal, there's plenty of space to drive into here. So that's down to decisions. And here, to be fair, there's nothing wrong with resetting long at times. This is a team that we can press high and win the ball back from quite easily. So there's nothing wrong with resetting long and letting it come from their goalkeeper. And this is another example. Again, losing the ball in our own defensive third. That ball from Harry, that's fine. And Harry does what he should do, which is to cut, to try and disrupt the opposition's first line. But if Harry cuts, so here, Sam, you need to go all the way back in to offer Kale that safe pass again. Although, to be fair, there was a ball here. This 6 is cutting off that line pass. So there was probably a ball into Sam between lines. This goal, possession initially lost by Sam, and we can work on that with Sam with his receiving. But at this point, Kale, you're too passive. You need to get pressure on this ball. We can't be backing off. So a few things there. Plenty of stuff that went well and some stuff to work on.